So thanks so much for joining us over here just to have a quick chat. So the women's game was banned 100 years ago this year. What do you think about that ban?
I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. Like, the women's game was doing so well at the time, and the social implications, like all the stuff they were doing for the community, was absolutely massive. And to take it away under the premise of like physicality, it was just really ridiculous. And the perception of like women like playing at the time, that it was like too physical, it just wouldn't stand now. It was ridiculous it happened. It was ridiculous that it took so long to revoke it as well. 50 years, like, you're talking about generations, like lost generations of people who could have been playing football, making a really positive societal impact, and it was just wasted. 50 years, it's wild.
And what do you reckon if we were today, after this match, say, okay, all men are going to be banned from from football? What do you think the reaction would be if we just put this ban on male players?
Do you know what? I think the women's game would actually benefit from it for a little bit, just having a bit of access to some pitches. That would be great. But yeah, obviously nobody would stand for it. The idea of taking football away from like players, from communities, is you just wouldn't stand for it. You know, like even the impact, like if you were to say like to kids as well, like, we're going to take away your football, it'd be a huge outcry. And that outcry, obviously I wasn't around, but there wasn't a massive outcry like in 1921, and we don't make enough of how ridiculous it was.
In terms of supporters going to the women's game, there was loads and loads of supporters that went to the women's game before it was banned. 53,000 at Goodison just a couple of months before. How important are supporters to the women's game and to a community club?
It's absolutely vital. Like, whether it starts out as like family members just going along to support, but also providing seeing positive role models, like female footballers showing that they can do it, showing that they can play football, and that is something to aspire to, is absolutely massive. But also the impact on the players, like knowing that they're supported, that people want them to do well and are there to cheer them on and boost them. Yeah, of course it's massive. And there's even value in just going to support and not play. That's okay as well. It just brings people together, it brings communities together. So yeah, huge.
And then one final question: if there was one misconception about the women's game that you could just get rid of in the next day or so, 10 years, day or so, whichever, what would the misconception be?
I don't know how to condense that answer. There's just so much. I think the physicality or the tactical element of it is probably the biggest thing. The idea that the women's game is inherently different. Football changes through generations. You see different styles of football, and I think a lot of men who are quite down on the women's game are quite surprised when they go to a women's game at how competitive it is, things like that. And it's well, yeah, just go along to a game and enjoy it, and you'll see for yourself that it's not what you think it is.